Hi everybody and welcome to our Sunday school session. I hope you have had a good week and I hope you're very, very excited about the fact that you can go back to school. I know I am really excited to be able to see the children in my class really soon. But let's get on with today's Sunday school session. So we've been thinking about people that you might not have heard of before in the Bible, haven't we? Today we're not just going to talk about one person, we're going to talk about two people. And we find them in the New Testament in the Bible. So that's the part of the Bible where we talk about the life of Jesus and Jesus' followers who spread his message. So we find the story that we're going to talk about. Please excuse my Bible, it's a little bit bashed up. In the book which is called Acts, and that comes after all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. So Acts is about here in our Bible. And actually, in my Bible, I've got some maps. I'm going to tell you about that and why I've got this map in my book, my Bible, in a minute. So, the story is not really a story, it's more learning about the lives of the two people. And we find that in Acts chapters 18 and 19. So Acts chapters 18 and 19. And very helpfully, on the back of here are the names of the two people we're going to talk about today. So their names are Aquila and Priscilla. They're married to each other. Aquila and Priscilla, his wife Priscilla. Okay, before I talk about them, I want to talk about the life of Paul, because Paul became friends with these two people. So let's just have a quick recap on Paul. Do you remember Paul spent his whole life after he had been converted, after he became a Christian, telling other people the good news about Jesus, and he actually went on lots and lots of different journeys throughout his life to do that. So the bit in our story that we've got to today, he had gone on is sometimes known as his second missionary journey to this place which is called Corinth. That's a city in Greece, Corinth, okay? I'll come back to this map later. So the people I'm going to talk about, I've got a picture here, are Aquila and his wife Priscilla. And they were tent makers, that was their jobs. And unbelievably, Paul had also been a tent maker, so he soon became friends with them. So let's get on with the story. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see properly. Paul, God's helper, wanted to tell the world about Jesus. So he took a very long trip, known as Paul's second missionary journey. He arrived in the city of Corinth to share Jesus with the people there. A lot of people lived and worked in Corinth, an important city. Paul wasn't sure where he would stay or what he would do, and then he met Priscilla and Aquila. The Roman emperor had ordered all Jews to leave Rome, and Aquila, who used to be a Jew, having just recently moved to Corinth, and Aquila was a Jew, having just recently moved to Corinth. Aquila and Priscilla probably were not finished settling in, but they did not worry about how fancy their home was, and they invited Paul to visit them anyway. They soon found out that they had more in common than being Jewish in Corinth. They were tent makers, and so was Paul. Priscilla and Aquila were very hospitable. That means that they liked to invite people home. They liked to make other people feel comfortable and visit with them. But they didn't just invite Paul to Sabbath dinner. They invited him to live with them. Paul helped them make tents, and he helped them learn more about Jesus. Paul lived and worked with Aquila and Priscilla for about a year and a half. Priscilla and Aquila learned much about Jesus from Paul, and soon they actually became Christians, followers of Jesus. They kept busy sharing the good news about Jesus, just as Paul had shared it with them. Then one day it was time to move again, to tell other people in other places about Jesus. This time, all 3 friends sailed to a place called Ephesus. Paul continued his travels, but Priscilla and Aquila set up their new home in Ephesus. Apollos, another Jew, had moved to Ephesus about the same time. He was an educated man and he knew the scriptures well. He had learned a little bit about Jesus and was sharing what he knew with everyone he met. He even preached about Jesus in the Jewish synagogue. That was where Priscilla and Aquila heard him. And just as with Paul in Corinth, they invited him home with them. They fed him, made him comfortable, and talked with him about Jesus. Priscilla and Aquila shared Jesus with everyone they met. They made and sold tents so they could buy food and other things that they needed. They were good business people too, but most of all, Priscilla and Aquila are remembered for their hospitality, the way they invited people to come into their homes with them. They served Jesus and those around them by inviting people to their home. They showed others God's love in a real, everyday way. So they're quite special people, aren't they? Quite ordinary people who made an enormous difference. And they didn't just talk to Apollos and then forget about doing this job. They kept on telling more and more people. And that sometimes that's that little bit of almost whispering the gospel makes a big, big difference. Okay, so just want to show you, because I said I'd come back to this map, where they went. So this red line here shows where Paul had come from. So Paul had come from Athens and then he travelled to Corinth. Athens is the capital city of Greece. Then he travelled to Corinth. And then all 3 of them, Aquila and Priscilla and Paul, all travelled to this place called Ephesus. And Paul stayed there for a while and then he moved on. But Aquila and Priscilla, we know from the Bible, stayed here and carried on preaching the good news of Jesus. So when I was thinking about Aquila and Priscilla, I was thinking about the fact that, yes, like it said in the story, they spent a lot of time being really hospitable, allowing people to have a nice time and feel comfortable in their homes. And they're also tremendously encouraging of other people. So, like the way they supported Apollos. They always had time for the people. They made time. And that's really important for us to be like them. They were showing us a really good way to live our lives. So then I started to think, what kind of a craft could I do connected to that? And interestingly, because I did have a little look on the internet, I came up with this. And you might think, Katy, why have you made a hedgehog? What on earth has that got to do with the story? Well, actually, hedgehogs are prickly, aren't they? And you know how sometimes when people don't know what to do with themselves and they've lost all hope and stuff, they become quite angry and a bit prickly and a bit spiky towards other people. Well, this hedgehog is not spiky or prickly. He's actually an encouraging hedgehog. Let me finish off this craft so you can see what we're going to do. Because actually, I'm going to weave a little web all around this hedgehog. I've stuck a bit of sellotape on the back. And then I'm going to wind around his prickles, just randomly. It doesn't have to be in a pattern. From prickle to prickle. Wind this wool around. You'll see what I'm doing. After a while. And try and crisscross it over. Right, I'm going to stop there because I could carry on. I'm going to do this, and then I've actually printed these out, but you could handwrite these yourself. I've started to think of some things that you could say to somebody else to make them feel boosted up when they need a bit of a boost. They need some encouragement. So these are some of the things that I came up with. Things like, you can make a difference. I can imagine Aquila and Priscilla saying that to Apollos. You can make a difference. You going out every day and telling other people about Jesus make an enormous difference. Always try your best. Lovely thing to say to somebody else. And I think this is a really important one. Every day is a fresh start. A lot of us get to the end of the day and we think, oh my goodness, today's been awful. I've just mucked up everything and I don't really feel very good about myself. And I feel really down and very prickly. But every day is a fresh start. And Jesus told us that, didn't he? He said, you can ask for forgiveness and it will be given to you. And actually, as Christians, we believe his death on the cross means that he wipes the slate clean. He says your sins are forgiven and you can have everlasting life with him. Brilliant message. So, you get your little message, you fold it in half, and you just put it into, I need to come up with a name for him, don't I? Henry the Hedgehog, I think I'll call him. Henry the Hedgehog spikes. His little spider's web here. And then this can just go at home somewhere. And then when you think somebody needs a bit of encouragement, or maybe even when they think they need a bit of encouragement, they can take one of these off here and have a little bit of encouragement from you. Like that. Ta-da! So this is how I made it. I just got a piece of card. I raided the recycling box again. Piece of card. I drew a rough kind of oval shape first of all. And I just did this in pencil because it doesn't make any difference if I make a mistake. Then I did a curve here. This curve here is where I'm going to put Henry the Hedgehog's face. Okay, so that's just like a little curve here. Then a point and a point. And I drew, within this, I drew a little circle at the end for his nose. Are you okay if I do this? I'll do it this way around. Then I started to put his spikes on. So I made him spike this way. So I don't know why I need a sound effect, but it sounds like I do. Spiky all the way around. Poor old Henry the Hedgehog. Actually, hedgehogs are very friendly creatures, aren't they? Though he's got enough spikes now. And I wasn't too sure how hedgehog feet went, so I just did them a bit cartoony like this. So I've given him 4. Can I do this upside down the right way around? Let's hope so. 1, 2, and some at the back. 3. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a longer leg. Hope he doesn't fall over. 4. Right, there's his 4 legs. And then, to show the spikes, oh, first of all, he needs a little eye, doesn't he? And I did a little mouth for him as well. Need to try and make it a bit more of a smiley mouth, because he's being encouraging. There we are, a smiley mouth. For his spikes, I just got a felt tip, and I just did this shape. So I don't know if I can do this upside down. So I just went like this. Little upside down triangles. And then I think I got another brown colour and did the same thing. I'm doing this really quickly. I did it much more slowly when I did that. There's it. I'm just going to go around my spikes so you can really see how they've shown up. There we go. And then his face I did in black. I'm not going to colour this all in because I don't want to waste time on the video. But you get the gist of this now. So I coloured his face black, I coloured his feet brown, and I think I coloured his nose pink. So after you've done that, you cut him out. Then, as I've said before, you get some wool or string, and it doesn't have to match. It could be anything you've got lying around the house. Stick it on the back with some sellotape. Then, as I've shown you, just start to get the wool and crisscross it any way you like. And it doesn't make any difference which direction you go in. But the little spikes, if you pull it quite tight, they will keep it in place. When you've done enough, then you get your scissors, cut your wool off, get some more sellotape. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the end very quickly, but you get the idea, and glue them down. So I hope you have fun making that. I put this one to one side because I'm sure Aquila and Priscilla spent a long time telling everybody this. You are all very important, and actually you're all part of God's amazing plan. Later on we're going to have a song which is all about that, but first of all we're going to pray together. Okay, let's get ready to pray, everybody. Dear Lord, thank you for the amazing lives of Paul, Aquila and Priscilla and the role they had in spreading the good news of Jesus. Help us to remember that we can all help to spread your teachings of forgiveness and love for each other. Please help us to encourage each other to do our best for you every day. Amen. Okay, so I gave you a little teaser about the song. We're going to finish with a song that we sing quite a lot in church, and I'm really looking forward when we can to getting back into church and singing this. And it's called Our God is a Great Big God. And in the song it talks of God's amazing plan, and it says in the chorus, he's known us and he's loved us since before the world began. And if you remember anything when you're being encouraging to anybody, maybe you even want to write it on your little hedgehog, remember that. You are loved, greatly loved. Have a fantastic week, enjoy yourselves, and I will see you really soon. So let's enjoy the song. Bye.
Our God is a great big God.